Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're coming to the end of our study of the suffering servant passage. In fact, many scholars would have the suffering servant passage end with chapter 55, although I think you have to attach 56, 1 through 8 to it. I think is necessarily attached. I think we have maybe even a clue in the New Testament that 56, 1 through 8 make up the larger passage. And so we're going to go through the 8 verses of chapter 56, and then we're going to take a moment or two to reflect back on our study. But 55 seems to be a fitting end of something, doesn't it? Verses 12 through 13. Let's read these verses. You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth into shouts of joy before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Instead of the thorn bush, the cypress will come up, and instead of the nettle, the myrtle will come up, and it will be a memorial to the Lord for an everlasting sign which will not be cut off. When we were living in Rome, Ohio, Dr. Robert Schuller used to have his morning program on our NBC affiliate from 7 to 8 from the Crystal Cathedral there in California, and I used to watch it because he usually had a good message. He was very biblical, and even though he came from a Calvinist tradition, you would never know it from his preaching. Although he was less delivering the word than he was delivering pop psychology, but good pop psychology. But just the atmosphere of praise and joy about their service appealed to me, and the way he brought joy to the word always appealed to me too. And this passage, "You shall go out with joy," their chorus always sang that at the end of the service. You shall go out with joy. You shall go out with joy, 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 joy. And I thought, that's a wonderful way to express this passage, because that should be the emotion we carry in our hearts about our salvation in Jesus Christ. And we know that he's not speaking literally, he's speaking metaphorically. We will go out with joy. We will be led forth with peace. We have joy, we have peace. Peace not meaning the absence of conflict. That's a Greek Roman notion of the word peace. It's shalom. It's the Hebrew notion of things being at equilibrium and in balance the way they ought to be. That's restored in our salvation. The mountains and the hills will break forth into shouts of joy, and the trees in the fields will clap their hands. We sing with a youth group. I sing even with the preschoolers in preschool chapel. Blue skies and rainbows and sunbeams from heaven are what I can see when my Lord is living in me. I know that Jesus is well and alive today, and he makes his home in my heart. Nevermore will I be all alone, since he promised me that we will never part. And that's what this is. And the nettle, the myrtle, they're not going to come up anymore. And it will be a memorial to Yahweh, an everlasting sign which will not be cut off. Our joy. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say rejoice. Paul wrote to the Philippian brethren from Roman jail. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Our joy is evidence. It is, as Isaiah says, as God says, at the end of chapter 55, the everlasting memorial to Yahweh our God. Our joy is the memorial. Let's not forget that. It doesn't mean we aren't afraid. It doesn't mean we don't have times of despair. It doesn't mean we don't pray hard for things to not happen, and then they do happen. It doesn't mean any of those things. Paul, who said, rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Paul, who said, be anxious for nothing, also told the Corinthians, the worst part about my day is the worry I have for all the churches. That's worse than the stripes I get on my back. All of it's true. But the overwhelming thing that has to be true is the joy that we have and the peace that we have been saved, and that nothing on this planet, not a war, not a battle, not an election, not the price of gasoline, nothing has anything to do with our joy and our peace that we have in Jesus Christ. And when we live those lives so that people can see the joy and the peace that we have in all things, no matter how hard they are, that is the memorial, the everlasting memorial to Yahweh, our God. Okay, we'll look at chapter 56 next time. Thank you for joining me for 5 Good Minutes.